This is my first solo in the Robinson R22 Helicopter, and I thought instead of just uploading another video and including the radio chatter between myself and the instructor Stewart, I would give you some form of narration as to what happens and what's going on in the video, especially with a lot of people out there like myself who are constantly looking for videos as to what to expect during your PPL license and the training that goes with it. So off we go. What I'll also do at the end of this video is include the video that Stewart took whilst I was doing the manoeuvres. So that's the spot turns, the taxiing, spot turns again, and taxiing back into landing, so you can see what that looked like from Stewart's perspective. It's only, I think, 60 seconds long, so I'll just add it on at the end of this video. In this section, Stewart's getting out of the helicopter. He's actually taking with him a portable radio and changing the frequency, as you can see here, to our own frequency, so that we can communicate with each other and not have to listen to any of the other traffic that is in the circuit at the moment. So it makes obviously the solo a lot easier and less noise to pay attention, shall we say. He's taking the dual controls out, so obviously the pedals coming out, and getting ready for the start of the solo. There's the sandbags going in, so we've got two sandbags there, both weigh 40 kilos, so you've got 80 kilos in the front there, where obviously Stewart would be, and I'm not too sure on what Stewart weighs, but I'd say sort of circa 100 kilos, so that should counteract any differences in the weight distribution. Now that sandbags are in and Stewart is out, I'm bringing the engine RPM over 80, so the governor takes control and starting to go light on the skids. And there we go, straight into the air, into a hover, and that's the first time I've ever been in the Robinson R22 on my own without an instructor next to me. So Stewart is just on the radio now, just giving me some direction. He's just basically saying hold it in a hover, to go up, and now bring it back down for a landing. As you can see, I'm absolutely made up with myself there. Stewart's plugging his headphones in straight away and just saying, probably taking the cracking some jokes or something like that, but I'm literally here explaining to him, saying that wow, I didn't actually appreciate how much of a difference that the removal of him and the addition of the sandbags would actually have on how the helicopter flies. So it's super powerful. There's no lag in the way that the power comes in. It's like quite twitchy, usually it takes around 23 inches of manifold pressure to hover the helicopter. I think I was pulling about 21 inches of power the entire time there, so that was really shocking, as I'm used to having the collective at a certain height and pulling it to a certain height, and it was just so different. But now we're just getting ready and we're going to do a bit of taxiing. Stewart's just in my ear there giving me some further direction, just saying he's going to ask me to do a couple of spot turns, taxi a bit, and then go from there. So here we go, just bringing the engine RPMs up, pulling the collective, and bringing the helicopter into a hover. So this is what really caught me out here. Usually when I pull the collective up, we go up into a nice hover, maybe 2, 3, 4 feet above the ground, but I literally got to about 19-20 inches of power. You'll probably be able to see it on the bottom right gauge on the instrument cluster. I'm pulling about 20 to 21 inches of power, and the helicopter just wants to take off, which is a super surreal feeling, considering that you're used to pulling a lot more power. So now I'm just literally taxiing forward 40-50 meters, keeping it at a steady height, coming into a hover here, and then I'll do a series of spot turns to the right. Stewart at all times giving me direction. We're going to do another 90 degrees to the right, maintaining that hover, and then taxi back. And just here you can see how the camera moves. It was super twitchy, the tail, as the wind caught my back tail, it just really pushed me a bit faster, so I wasn't expecting that. But you're just taxiing now, Stewart's still giving me direction, and now he tells me to sort of bring it to a hover, stop there, spot turn to the left, 90 degrees. Still only pulling 21 inches, which is crazy, and now bringing it into a landing. And that is the longest time I've spent in a helicopter without an instructor. And it's such a surreal experience, because you know I've got 25 hours at the recording of this video, and up until him closing the door, realizing that there's no dual controls and the instructor's not there, it was like, wow, this is actually happening. And obviously you can see that we're chatting there. That's the solo over. Stuart's back into the helicopter, and we're just going to go back and put it onto an helipad. Super quick lesson. It wasn't really a lesson, but I normally go out for sort of anything between 45 minutes to an hour's flying. I think the whole taxiing from the helipad to the hover area that we're in now, doing the exercise, and then taxiing back, I think the whole thing took about 30 minutes, which is crazy. But even now, with Stewart sat in the passenger seat, and obviously the addition of the sandbags, the difference between doing the solo and doing it now is just flying a completely different machine. It's so much more sluggish. It feels like I've just come out of a sports car and into a big 20-30 year old diesel Jeep. It's just a completely different machine, and I think what's going to be really interesting moving forward, and as I start to hour build and start to do the cross-country elements of the training, is how getting used to how the machine now performs when I'm just in there on my own with the sandbags and not all of that additional weight. Just now when we come to the hangars, you get a really bad crosswind which like catches you out, so I'm looking forward to experiencing those types of things in a much lighter aircraft, and how the R22 ultimately can perform. We're just going a bit slow here because we've actually got another helicopter in front of us that's coming in to land on one of the pads, so I'm just sort of battling with a bit of a crosswind and heading downwind as well. So it's like the air is all over the place due to the hangars and everything. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. It was an awesome experience, and I'll be sure to upload the next one when I do my next solo, which will be doing circuit solo. And this is Stewart just messing around and pretending to stand down the fire service because we've made it back in one piece. So yeah, great CFI, loads of charisma, loads of character, and it's been a pleasure flying with him up to now, and I'm quite sure it will continue to do so. So cannot recommend the Helicopter Centre enough in Mallorca, which is where we're flying.